2 days ago, we covered OpenAI hitting the brakes. It paused its model Astra because it couldn't rule out the thing was too good at hacking to ship safely. So here's a genuine head-scratcher. This week, the same company shipped a model it deliberately trained to say yes to hacking more often. Not by accident. On purpose. It's called GPT-5.6 Cyber, and on OpenAI's own test, it will help you build an exploit 95% of the time, where the guardrailed version helps you 1.5% of the time. Pause one model for being too dangerous, ship another that refuses less. Those aren't opposite moves. They're the same bet, and it's worth understanding. Here's exactly what dropped. OpenAI released GPT-5.6 Cyber, built on its Soul model and in its own words, trained to improve at finding zero-day vulnerabilities and building exploit chains, and to reduce refusals for certain higher-risk dual-use cyber tasks. Read that again. They didn't just make it better at security work. They specifically trained it to stop refusing. It's the successor to a 5.5 cyber model from June, so this is a deliberate product line, not a one-off experiment. And crucially, you can't just sign up. It's handed out through a controlled access tier. That tier is the whole story. OpenAI splits access into 2 tiers under a program it calls Daybreak. Blue is the defensive lane, frontier general models with guardrails tuned for authorized defensive work, incident response, investigations, vulnerability management. Red is the offensive lane, the purpose-built cyber models for authorized vulnerability research, exploit validation, and security testing. GPT-5.6 Cyber lives in red. And here's the part that should reframe how you think about AI safety. The exact same underlying capability refuses almost everything on the guardrailed side and answers almost everything on the permissive side. The safety isn't baked into the model. It's a setting attached to which door you came in. OpenAI even built a benchmark to measure the refusals it removed. They call it the Advanced Cybersecurity Completion Rate, and it tracks how often a model actually answers prompts about exploit chains, authentication bypass, and privilege escalation. The guardrailed Soul model completes 1.5% of those requests. The new cyber model completes 95. For reference, last generation's cyber model sat at 57. So the trajectory is 1.5 to 57 to 95 in a year. What that number really tells you is that the model could always do this. The refusals were a policy choice sitting on top. Turning them off isn't a capability jump. It's a decision. And this isn't theoretical. The model has already found real, serious bugs. The headline one is CVE 2026-15903, an 8.8 severity out-of-bounds flaw in V8, the JavaScript engine inside Chrome. A crafted web page could run code in the sandbox, and the model found a second unknown bug that chains with it to break out of that sandbox entirely. Google patched it in mid-July. On top of that, OpenAI credits the model with flagging 5+ vulnerabilities in a major mobile OS, 3 critical database bugs, and over 400 privilege escalation flaws in a popular OS kernel. So the capability is real. The question was never whether it works. It's who gets to point it and at what. So who gets the offensive model? A short list of giants: Accenture, Akamai, Cisco, Cloudflare, CrowdStrike, Fortinet, IBM, Palo Alto, PwC, Sophos, to find and patch bugs before attackers do and close what OpenAI calls the defense gap. Which sounds great until you look at the other half of the job. Separate research from 1Password, cited in the same report, found that when you ask an LLM to actually fix a vulnerability, the patch fully resolved it only 26% of the time. And nearly 54% of the time, the patch failed to fix it, introduced a brand new vulnerability, or both. Sit with that gap. These models are spectacular at finding holes and mediocre at filling them. You're deploying a fire hose of discovery bolted to a leaky bucket of repair. So step back and the Astra contradiction resolves. It's one strategy from both ends. Keep the fully autonomous capability gated, and hand a permissive exploit-grade model to a hand-picked set of defenders, betting that arming the good guys closes the defense gap faster than it widens it. Maybe, but notice what that quietly admits. AI safety for offensive capability is no longer mainly about training the model to behave. It's about access control. The same weights refuse almost everything or almost nothing depending entirely on which tier your key is on, which means the real guardrail isn't the model anymore, it's OpenAI's list of who gets in. And because these systems find far better than they fix, the near-term reality for everyone not on that list isn't AI quietly patching the world. It's a coming flood of freshly discovered vulnerabilities that humans still have to fix by hand. Prepare for the flood of findings, not the fantasy of auto-repair. That's the shift worth watching. If you want one real AI security story broken down every single day, in plain language, subscribe and turn on the bell. It's free, and it's the button that keeps these coming. If you want the full written version, with every number and the confirmed versus cited sources laid out, it's on the prompt injection blog, linked below. And go watch the Astra one right before this because these two stories are the same week, the same company, and only make sense together. See you tomorrow. If this was useful, subscribe. New AI agent and security breakdowns every day.